And welcome back. Well, with me right now is Dr. Flynn Andrizzi. He is the president of the Hoag Hospital Foundation. Flynn, nice to have you here today.
It's great to be with you, Ken. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think just the reputation of Hoag in general is so well known, and the fact that you folks have this wonderful foundation, and you have just great people that help you out with that is fantastic, and that's what we're here to talk about today, right?
Perfect.
Now,
I love talking about it.
You know, explain the foundation's role.
Sure. The foundation is actually a separate organization from the hospital, but we exist for the sole purpose to support Hoag. So our job is to really discover the passions of the community and then align those with philanthropic opportunities at Hoag. And the community really owns Hoag. And this is a great community. They really step up to support Hoag.
They do, yeah.
And I would look at philanthropy really and that community support as the X factor in Hoag's success.
How important is that really, as far as donors go? And I know you get all different levels.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And it's important to have all different levels of support. As I mentioned, it really is the difference maker because there are a number of programs. There are even positions we wouldn't be able to fill at Hoag. Let me give you a good example. If you come in for a surgical procedure at the Hoag Orthopedic Institute, you're going to have a nurse navigator who will navigate you through that entire process. And one of the biggest challenges at any healthcare institution right now is navigating through the difficulty of healthcare. Well, we fund a number of those positions through philanthropy, so it makes the patient experience much better.
You touched on a very good subject because there is a lot of different paths when you're in need of medical care.
Absolutely.
Compared to maybe how it was 30 years ago.
Oh, yes.
And to have a nurse navigator to help you out, and that person will not be there without the foundation. And really, let's put it the other way, without the donors to the foundation.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That's correct. And you know, it's interesting. We've evolved as a foundation in the last, I would say, 7 to 8 years. Where it used to be, we really only funded if we wanted a new building or a new piece of equipment or technology. We still do that, but what we've really done is we've become more programmatic in terms of our fundraising. So a good example is we now have 12 endowed chairs at Hoag Hospital Foundation. They're unheard of in community hospitals. You hear of endowed chairs within academia, but we have 12 of our most prominent physicians who hold these chairs. And because of these large endowments, they've been able to bring programs to Hoag that we didn't have before. You know, epilepsy, for example. We have an epilepsy specialist that we didn't have. That's because of philanthropy. We have a neurosurgeon who does pituitary tumors, removes those because of philanthropy. And I mean, the list goes on and on. So absolutely, they're just things that we wouldn't have without philanthropy.
How does the foundation work hand in hand with Hoag and all the different services, the hospital, so to speak?
Sure.
And you, as you mentioned, you're actually a separate entity, but years ago, as you pointed out, people would think of a foundation and think, oh, somebody's name is on a building, that's how that came about. But as you just pointed out, all these different specialties, and from the nurse navigator to epilepsy and all, this is how the foundation turns around and supports all that Hoag does, right?
Absolutely, and we have a great culture of philanthropy at Hoag. The nurses are involved, the physicians are involved, the administration's involved, and they're really the ones who set the priorities. I tell my team, especially when we hire new individuals or new fundraisers, I let them know we're not in the priority setting business. That's what the hospital does. Our job is to let the hospital know if that's something that we could take out to the community that they'd be interested in. And then really, as I said before, our job is to discover the passions of the community and then align those with the philanthropic opportunity of the hospital. But we don't set those opportunities, the hospital does. And so we have to work very closely with them.
We see on the screen behind us here, Hoag Promise. What is the Hoag Promise campaign?
So the Hoag Promise is our campaign to lead, innovate, and transform. It's a comprehensive campaign, first ever at Hoag. Again, I mentioned the endowed chairs being unique to academia. Community hospitals usually don't run comprehensive campaigns, and when I say comprehensive, it means just the way it sounds. It touches everything and everyone at Hoag. So it's an effort that we're trying to raise 627 million. I know it's an odd figure, and you may have to bring me back in order to explain it, because it takes a little while to explain, but over a 10-year period.
Yeah.
And really what we did is we worked with the leadership at the hospital and almost everybody at every level to set those priorities. And the name Promise came up. It was created by leaders in our community, not by the foundation, but those who volunteer with us. It's really our promise to the community, which philanthropy allows us to fulfill that promise, but it's also the community's promise back to us, and those donors who give those gifts are really making a promise to the community as well, and that's where that name came up.
That's true.
And it's really a forward-thinking campaign, because it really is about the future. And I'm pleased to say that we have about 3.5 years left on the campaign, but to date, we just closed our fiscal year at the end of June. We were at 464 million. So
wow.
So
to get at that
we're
627.
627. So we're about 74% of the way there, with I think 62% of the time elapsed, which is a statistic we look at. And it's because of this community is so generous.
Let's talk about how people can support the foundation. You're going to have all levels. Maybe people are say, well, you know what, I would certainly like to give to this, but because of my limitations, I can only give a small amount, or a one-time gift, or a monthly gift, all the way up to people who maybe want to set up some sort of a program, like an annuity type program, right?
There are so many different ways to give, and fortunately this is an area where the IRS is very favorable to these options. So we have all kinds of people who will give us, for example, we have people who've given us their home, but they still retain the opportunity to live in it during their lifetime. So it's fair, and they get a tax deduction. At the point they make that gift, and in many cases they receive an income. To the person who gives us $100 every year, or to the person who, we had a young woman who wants to become a doctor and had some experiences with some health issues in her family, a little girl who was about 8 years old who had a lemonade stand and brings us about $60 every year. So,
wow.
So you think about it, we have a number of people who give us $100 a year for many years, and then they decide to include us in their estate. So there is every opportunity you can think of to make a difference, and every gift does make a difference.
I love the lemonade stand one.
Oh yes,
that's great.
It's exciting. We brought her in and had an opportunity and introduced her to some physicians, and she was so sweet.
Now, if people want to find out more about this, you can go online, hoagpromise.org, and on Instagram, they have an Instagram account.
Absolutely.
With pictures, I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instagram,
it's called
Facebook.
at Hoag Promise, and then on Facebook, all you got to do is put Hoag Promise in there, and you'll find it. And from there, you can get all the different ways that, if you choose to donate, how you can set something up. Maybe you want to do a lemonade stand.
Absolutely. There's some great, when you go on that website, there's what we call a toolkit, and you can look at those different estate giving options, because as you mentioned, not everybody has significant wealth that's liquid that they can give to us at this point in time, but at the same time, and I should be careful in case the IRS is watching, but obviously
they're always watching.
They're always watching. I think you'd rather give it to Hoag or your favorite charity than have your estate go to the government, right?
I totally agree with that.
I'd encourage people to plan ahead, and we can certainly help them plan. And on that website, there's toolkits to help them plan as well.
Fantastic. Flint, what a pleasure to have you on.
It's been a pleasure.
And I know we'll have you back sometime in the future,
I would
because
love
you
that,
folks
Ken.
do different events throughout the year. So
absolutely.
We'll talk all about that.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Again, hoagpromise.org is the website. On Instagram, it's at Hoag Promise. If you go to Facebook, just go ahead at the top, search for Hoag Promise, and see how you can help them out. We'll be back.